Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So this was a very, very interesting game because I genuinely think we just witnessed the return of something Dallas Wings fans did not want to see again. We saw the return of passive Paige. We saw the return of Paige Bueckers looking terrified to actually impose herself on a basketball game. And honestly, it was shocking to watch because this game was right there for Dallas to win. And before anybody starts saying I'm hating, no, because I'll give credit where credit is due. Arike Ogunbowale was out there trying to make things happen. Was every shot selection perfect? Absolutely not. But Arike Ogunbowale at least looked like somebody attempting to win a basketball game. There's a massive difference between failing aggressively and disappearing completely. Jess Shepard? She tried. She fought. Alicia Gray for the Atlanta Dream was spectacular. Angel Reese? Really good. Really active. Really physical. Really impactful. But Paige Bueckers? This was one of the most passive performances I have ever seen from a player people are trying to place into Caitlin Clark conversations. And I'm sorry, if you want to be held to superstar standards, then you get criticized by superstar standards. Because this wasn't just, oh, shots weren't falling tonight. No. Players miss shots all the time. Caitlin Clark misses shots. Arike Ogunbowale misses shots. Sabrina Ionescu misses shots. Every elite guard has bad shooting nights. That's basketball. But the problem here is that Paige Bueckers stopped trying. That's the issue. She literally looked at 2 missed shots and mentally checked out of the game. She just decided, you know what? I'm not going to risk hurting my efficiency tonight. And you cannot do that if you're supposed to be the franchise centerpiece. Like, there were possessions where Jess Shepard was having to create isolation offense because Paige Bueckers wouldn't even look at the rim. Think about how insane that is. Your supposed star guard is dribbling around the perimeter, refusing to attack, refusing to create pressure, refusing to even attempt difficult reads, while Jess Shepard is forced into bailout possessions. And then the stat watchers are going to look afterward and say, well, Paige had 3 assists and no turnovers. Cool. Fantastic. Congratulations. You know why she had no turnovers? Because she refused to attempt any risky passes whatsoever. She played the safest basketball imaginable. Everything was side to side. Everything was passive. Everything was let me get rid of the ball and stay out of the way. That is not superstar basketball. And then defensively? Oh my goodness. She got cooked. Absolutely cooked. Jordan Canada was running past her over and over again. Ryan Howard was getting whatever look she wanted. And yes, some shots missed, but the process defensively was awful. Paige Bueckers was getting beat constantly. There's a reason they had to stop putting her on Jordan Canada. She couldn't stay in front of her. It was that simple. And look, Atlanta Dream are a good defensive team. Nobody is denying that. Alicia Gray is excellent. They rotate hard, they pressure ball handlers, they force uncomfortable possessions. But there's a difference between struggling against a good defense and refusing to engage offensively. Paige Bueckers literally went 7 straight minutes without taking a shot. 7 minutes in a close basketball game as the primary guard. That cannot happen. And what makes it even worse is that Dallas actually had opportunities in this game. The Wings looked like they were going to take control early. Their depth looked strong. Awaka Kuier brought energy. Isaiah James at least tried creating offense. Maddie Siegrist only getting 8 minutes makes absolutely no sense because she's one of the few players on that roster constantly willing to attack gaps and play physical basketball. And Tyara McCowan gave them solid minutes too. That bench unit actually looks decent, legitimately decent, which is why this loss becomes even more frustrating because the game was there. Dallas could have won this game if their primary guard simply stayed aggressive. But instead, Paige Bueckers completely disappeared offensively for huge stretches. And then here comes the funniest part. The absolute funniest part. Garbage time. Of course. Of course, in garbage time, suddenly Paige Bueckers wants to attack. Suddenly, she wants to run down the floor. Suddenly, she wants to grab a rebound with 10 seconds left while the Dream are already celebrating the win. Suddenly, she wants to shoot a transition 3 to pad the stat line. That is the fakest efficient stat line I've seen in a long time. People are going to see 15 points and think she had a decent game. No, this was awful. This was one of those games where the stat sheet lies to you. Because if you actually watched the game possession by possession, you saw somebody completely unwilling to take responsibility offensively. And I know some people are going to say, well, Caitlin Clark has bad games too. Yes, absolutely. Caitlin Clark absolutely has bad games. I criticize Caitlin Clark when she struggled. But here's the difference. Caitlin Clark goes down swinging. Even when she's missing, she's still attacking. She's still taking deep threes. She's still trying cross-court passes. She's still trying to bend the defense. Paige Bueckers stopped trying to bend the defense altogether. That's the problem. There's a massive difference between aggressive failure and passive basketball. I will take an aggressive 5 for 20 over somebody doing cardio for an entire half, because at least the aggressive player is forcing the defense to react. Paige Bueckers was not forcing anything. And then you had Arike Ogunbowale on the other side of the spectrum. Arike was almost too aggressive. There was literally a possession late in the game where she took a running, one-legged 35-footer with time still on the shot clock. I'm sitting there watching like, what are we doing? Arike Ogunbowale and Maisha Hines-Allen genuinely need their basketball brains studied by scientists, because sometimes I cannot comprehend what they are seeing in those moments. But again, at least Arike was trying to create something. Paige Bueckers wasn't. That's why this performance frustrated me so much, because the talent is obvious, the skill is obvious, the footwork, handle, touch, passing vision, all of it is there, which is why the passiveness becomes even more annoying. Because if you could somehow combine Paige Bueckers' skill level with Arike Ogunbowale's irrational confidence, you might literally create the best guard in basketball. One has too much caution, the other has absolutely none. And I'm sorry, but Dallas did not bring Paige Bueckers in to be a secondary connector, standing 40 feet from the basket, dribbling side to side. They brought her in to control games. Instead, this is basically what happened the entire second half. Paige Bueckers dribbles the ball across half court, stands near the logo, waits for weak side action, passes the ball away, moves out of the play. That was the offense. That was literally the offense. No downhill pressure, no collapsing the defense, no aggressive pick and roll attacks, no hunting mismatches, no forcing rotations, nothing. And meanwhile, Atlanta slowly took over the game. The Dream gained confidence possession after possession because Dallas's supposed lead creator wasn't creating pressure anymore. That matters psychologically. Defenses relax when stars stop attacking. And then defensively, again, zero impact. Zilch. Absolutely zilch defense. No resistance at the point of attack, no physicality, no disruption. And here's the thing that matters most. Expectations. Nobody last year was saying Paige Bueckers was already one of the 5 best players in the WNBA. Nobody was saying she was the best guard in basketball. But now people are putting her into Caitlin Clark conversations constantly. Okay then, fine. If you're entering those conversations, then you get compared to Caitlin Clark's standards. And if Caitlin Clark ever had the ball in her hands that much during a collapse while refusing to shoot for nearly 8 minutes, people would absolutely destroy her for it. Rightfully so. So the same energy has to apply here, because this game was lost during the stretch where Paige Bueckers stopped being aggressive. Dallas went from controlling the game to completely losing momentum, while their primary guard basically became invisible offensively. And honestly, Alana Smith struggling made everything worse too. Dallas clearly expected more production there. They expected size, defense, spacing, versatility. Instead, it was rough. Really rough. But even with Alana Smith struggling, Dallas still could have won this game. That's what makes this performance frustrating. The opportunity was there. And look, this doesn't mean Paige Bueckers is a bad player. She's not. She's incredibly talented. She'll have huge games this season. She'll probably bounce back quickly because great players usually do. But this specific performance? Awful. Because mentally, she checked out. That's what people are reacting to. Not the missed shots, not the percentages, the mentality, the unwillingness to continue attacking after early struggles. And if Paige Bueckers wants to truly become the superstar people believe she can become, she has to understand something very important. Elite guards cannot disappear. Even on bad nights, elite guards still dictate the game somehow. Caitlin Clark does it with range and pace. Arike Ogunbowale does it with fearless scoring. Alyssa Thomas does it with physical playmaking. But Paige Bueckers cannot become the player who disappears into safe basketball every time shots stop falling. Because safe basketball does not win big games. Anyway, tell me what you think down below. Was this the worst game of Paige Bueckers' career? Was I too harsh? Or do you think the criticism is completely fair considering the standards people are placing on her? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.